We welcome to the bunker Global Regina's Taylor Shire. How are you doing, Taylor?
Pretty good.
Good. Survived the weekend.
Yeah, I did. I was golfing in Strasbourg on Saturday for the Mark Cross Memorial Golf Tournament. Then did some yard work yesterday, so it was a pretty good weekend.
No Craven for you.
No.
You've graduated. I'm so proud of you.
I'm past that, yeah. But we did drive by on the way home from Strasbourg. We were kind of thinking about stopping in, but the thunderstorm was rolling in. So it kind of pulled us to the right. No, pull it back.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
So we kept going.
The tractor beam of Craven and Country Thunder. So all these topics, I don't know. A, the Kavis firing, what do you think? And B, does he work again in the CFL, i.e. as president of the Edmonton Eskimos?
I'm shocked that the Alouettes have won back-to-back games. And if they were 0-4, you could fire Kavis Reed and no one would bat an eye. But the fact that they've won back-to-back games and then all of a sudden you fire them, it's not a good look. There is obviously something shady going on. There has to be, because you don't win back-to-back games and fire your GM. There's obviously something in the works, and whether it's some financial things that he's doing that some people have reported, maybe we'll find out eventually, but we don't know. I was even shocked that he was hired in Montreal in the first place.
Way back when?
Yeah, way back when. Because he doesn't have a track record of success, in my opinion.
No.
He's had highs and lows and just it just seems like not a steady guy that you want to lead your franchise. I don't know the guy. He's probably a great guy. You know him a bit better than me personally. I've interviewed him, but he's not a guy to me that is steady, and that's I think what you want as a GM.
All it comes down to is, well, aside from if he's guilty of what the Montreal Gazette's reporting, is it illegal not paying your rent? I guess. I've never been in that situation. I don't know. But all it really comes down to is wins and losses. For the most part, whether you're a good guy or not really doesn't matter. Kavis didn't have the wins and losses. He worked for the Riders. I spent a lot of time around him. I've interviewed him countless times. Let's remember, you don't really know somebody when they leave the stadium. You know them at the stadium. You don't know what they're like when they're gone. But anyways, Clark's telling me to read Andrew's comment. Why should I read Andrew's comment, Clark? And I can't read it. It runs off the screen. If you were the Edmonton Eskimos, why would you hire him? That's my question.
Hire him back?
Yeah, as president.
No. They've already no. I don't see a position where he gets, because the league is so small, there's often times where people circle back and go to different teams. You have to, because the league is small. We've seen coaches go on basically every team. But I don't think that, I think Edmonton has learned that maybe this isn't the right guy for our position. However, if there's no one else out there, then maybe you have to.
There's always somebody out there.
But not someone that's been around, that's had, that there's not many people that have years of experience in the CFL that are looking for a job right now that want to be in a position like that. You maybe should hire someone with not a good or no track record, as opposed to not a good track record.
Chart his career for me. He was a special teams coordinator here.
Before that, he was in Winnipeg as either DB's coach or special teams coordinator. He's bounced around from team to team to team.
But did he go right from here to the front office in Edmonton?
As the head coach?
Like he went to the head.
It was right around then.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then worked his way up and obviously became, in Montreal in the front office. And that's tough. You want guys, when they transition to that role, to grow into it and learn the role, right? It's different than being a coach, even though you're evaluating players and doing things like that, and maybe you have success in one area. But look at G. Roy Simon, the way he's going about getting into the personnel side of the game, right? He's doing it by learning and putting his boots on the pavement and, not just trying to jump in and bite off more than he can chew. And for Kavis, I mean, all the bad publicity over the last couple of seasons, at some point, you have to start thinking self-preservation, and maybe you start thinking about resignation, because this situation is so bad and it's so toxic that now, like we've kind of talked about, who's going to touch him?
Well, that's why never say never. Yeah. As I've said in this business, never say never. I would be shocked if what's being reported by the Gazette, if it's true, that the Edmonton Eskimos would touch Kavis Reed for these reasons. But again, is sports any different than, say, the restaurant industry of what I'm involved in, and people get fired for these things all the time? I don't know. Do you not check references? They just move on to their next job. And as I read on Twitter yesterday, Kavis seems to be the guy that fails forward or fails up. So maybe he is the next general manager of the Edmonton Eskimos, or president of the Edmonton Eskimos. They seem to be running just fine without one, by the way. Have you noticed? 3-1 and $22 tickets. They're going to fill the place for Commonwealth Stadium, or at least they should. Hey, a couple other things. Taylor Shire of Global Regina. I'm trying to get my phone to go. It's hard when you're on live television / whatever we're on here to operate your phone. But who's your favorite CFL on TSN panelist?
I'm going to go other and vote, Chris Schultz.
Right. Well, he's not in it.
I know. So current, I'll say I like Dunnigan's takes, but I do miss Schultz on the panel. I think he kind of told it as it was. Mm-hmm. But I'll go with Dunnigan this year.
Yours is the write-in ballot, Chris Schultz.
Yes.
Yeah. I remind people that are voting on the poll that Twitter only gives you 4 options. Henry Burris, Matt Dunnigan. That's what the comments were for. Henry Burris, Matt Dunnigan, Milt Stegall, Mike Benavides. Of our Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center poll, Milt Stegall is the winner. How about that, Winnipeg? How about that? Now,
first quarter.
The thing
First quarter, exactly.
The comment that you said earlier about Kirk Penton, these guys, they don't need to necessarily be right. You need to be opinionated, and all those guys are. That's what it takes to be an analyst on a panel. You don't have to be right. You have to have an opinion.
That's why you got Dave Naylor.
And so yes, exactly. So you don't need to know.
You have to be credible.
You have to be credible. You don't need to know what's actually happening. You have to throw opinions out there and see if they stick. You have to have some sort of, back and forth.
Well,
you can't just agree with each other and pat each other on the back and say, hey, yeah, that's exactly right.
Well, let's dive right into it. I mean, as far as The Athletic, I have not put down my credit card and subscribed to The Athletic. I've got a lot of friends writing there. I just don't see the need. I can get, in my opinion, just as good a coverage anywhere else. And the only reason I saw this comment from the Insiders portion was a lady had put it on her blog in Winnipeg. This is what they're saying from the Insiders in Kirk Penton's column. And I'm like, Mike Benavides is the only guy that knows football. Mike Benavides isn't in the Football Hall of Fame, Canadian Football Hall of Fame. Milt Stegall is. Matt Dunnigan is. Henry Burris is going to. But again, that's football people just sitting around and bitching like a bunch of old ladies, which is fun. Hey, I'm all for it. But am I going to pay for it? Not necessarily. Mm-hmm. But the way, have you read Penton's Insiders portion of his column?
No.
Because he was doing it back in the Winnipeg Sun for years.
I read that.
Well, that's what I mean. Have you read that?
Not recently. I used
but
to
that would make the farmers on Coffee Row blush.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is way nastier than Coffee Row. But let me get your opinion. You're a TV guy. You're all about image. Clearly, DuPont is too, save for the socks. Is Mike O'Shea unprofessional in the way he dresses? Is Devon Claybrooks unprofessional in wearing his hat sideways as the head coach of the BC Lions?
Does Bill Belichick look the part?
He looks ratty.
Does he win?
Homeless.
Does he win?
Right.
That's all that matters.
That is. It's all that matters. If you win, you'll be respected. I think you
look good, feel good.
Yeah. You
coach good.
You're respected if you do things your own way. I mean, it's as simple as that. If you own it and you're honest and you're authentically you,
yes,
it's great. 100%. I mean, Rod, you and I follow different guys, whether it's in the business world or sports or whatever. I mean, a guy wants to wear a T-shirt everywhere he goes to board meetings and stuff, and he owns it, and that's him. Great. The other guys need to wear suits. It's the same deal. If he starts winning and he has the respect of his peers and the respect of his players, it's going to be no problem. It's just different. That's all it is.
Sure.
Right? It's different.
Sure. And I preach all the time, be you. I tell people to be you. However, if you're walking in for a job interview, depending on the job, and you're covered in tattoos and neck tattoos, and
you better really own it.
Right. Be you. But if you don't get the job, that might be why. Right? So you got to live with the consequences of being you. Consequences. There's that word again. There's going to be consequences. How ironic is that, by the way, that Kavis is a victim of consequences?
Classic.
Maybe that should have been our poll today. Does Kavis Reed ever work again in the CFL? I'd be interested to know.
You're watching Rod Pedersen on demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.